Hi guys, and a great big warm welcome to episode 54 of the Ask Zofie podcast. Am I still calling it a podcast? Because for the benefit of those of you just listening, you're the wise ones, don't watch, just listen. I am still out of the cupboard, and also for the benefit of those of you just listening, Susie is with me. She's sat behind me at the moment. You can just see her, the back of her and her tail. She might come and say hi in a minute. So this is episode 54. I am still, for now, out of the cupboard. I'm still unsure as to whether or not I will stay out of the cupboard, or I might partly be out of the cupboard, partly be in the cupboard. I don't know. If you have any thoughts on that, if you're like, yeah, I much prefer audio only, or, oh my goodness, Zofie, I just love seeing your face, you crazy person, then drop me a message on Instagram or something, or some other way to let me know, because I will be guided by you guys. So I'm talking, so this month, I think I shared this last week, but I can't honestly remember. This month through June, I always feel so American when I say that. I wish I was American. Anyway, that's another story. I am on Instagram talking about all things manifestation. And I've said this before, to share on the topic of manifestation, to teach on it, to do one-to-ones on it is one of my most favorite things to do, because it's so helpful. And if you've listened to me for more than a minute, some of you crazy souls have listened to me for over a year now, you will have heard me say undoubtedly that I'm all about doing what's helpful, being helpful, and teaching this topic is so helpful. So today, so basically the whole of this month, I'm focusing on manifestation on Instagram, and I'm also going to do every podcast in June on the topic of manifestation. I think I really will. I've been promising this for a while, for ages actually. Next week, do a podcast episode all about manifesting love. A tiny spoiler alert on that. For me, one of the key components was the most delicious homemade butter chicken. Some of you will know what I'm talking about, some of you won't, but I will share all, I will bear all, no, not like that. Coming out of the cupboard's enough, but I will share all on that topic next week. Anyway, today I'm going to speak to the topic of manifestation, but I'm going to specifically, or more specifically, speak to manifestation when it comes to abundance or wealth or money. Before I do that, firstly, I'm going to share something like I did last week from Love Notes from God. Those of you that have got the book or who've heard me talking about it will probably have heard me say that one of the ways, if not perhaps the most helpful ways to use the book, is just kind of like you would with a deck of oracle cards. So you just take a moment to get quiet, and then you open the book. Perhaps if you've got something on your mind, you maybe have that on your mind and think about the fact that you want to get some guidance on that, maybe not, and you open the book and then just sit with whatever comes up, and maybe you could use that as a bit of a mantra or an affirmation. Some of you guys have been writing, because there is a lot of white space. You can see that, those of you that are watching on YouTube. In the book, you can even write your own commentary or thoughts on it. So I'm going to just do that. Before I start, I'm going to share a personal story about manifesting. Then I'm going to share some of my, they're not all of my tips, but some of my tips when it comes to manifestation and abundance. And like I commonly say, you can apply these tips to other topics, not just abundance, because some of you might already have enough money. Some of you might not care about money, probably not, but there might be one or two, but you can apply them to other topics and aspects of your life. Okay, so let me just start. See what comes up. Okay. I'm going to read both pages, actually. I'm going to read the first page that I saw first. This is a powerful piece from the book. And when you know that your yearning for me is my yearning for you, that the tears you cry are mine too, you will know my love for you. And the second one that's on the other page is, when you are ready, I'll be here. When you decide, I am ready. Whatever you want, I have already given. And that actually leads me quite nicely into what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to briefly say that the first quote that I shared really speaks to what I think of as God's love, or you can think of it as love of the divine or source energy or the universe. That one of the things that happened to me that I think I've shared before. Whoops, I just hit my laptop then. Sorry about that. I'm still obviously not pro at this. You can tell. But one of the things, the really beautiful and humbling things that happened to me that was really helpful, was there was a moment when I was saying to God things like, I can't remember exactly, but it was quite a sort of yearning and begging moment. And so it was like, I need you, come to me, where are you? And everything I said, I then was like, got this sense that that was what the divine was saying back to me. So I would say, I need you. And then the response would come back, I need you. And I would say, whatever it was, where are you? And the divine would say back to me, where are you? And when you flip it on its head, these desires that we have, this yearning, these needs, and see that that's reciprocated by the divine, instead of begging and yearning for that love and attention and affection, you start to think, well, what if the divine wants that of me? How can I step up and give that and bring that to the table instead of ask for it? And that's what that piece from Love Notes from God speaks to. Anyway, I'm not going to get too deep on that. I probably will do another free workshop actually for any of you who buy a copy, and even if you came to the last one, you can join again. So I'll let you know more on that, but I don't want to get too deep on that because I want to focus on the topic of today. So okay, before I get into it, I want to share a related story. I've shared this before, can't remember where, because I share so much on different platforms and so on, but some of you might have heard me talk about this before. This is so helpful. Okay, I am speaking on the topic of abundance today, and some of you will know that there are two things that I have been focused on manifesting in the last 6-12 months. I mean, longer, but it kind of in earnest, for want of a better description, for the last 6 to 12 months. And the first one was to manifest romantic love into my life. And most of you will know that happened at the end of last year, start of this year, depending on where you start that timeline in terms of me meeting and interacting with Daniel. And the second thing was, or is, to manifest abundance into my life. Now, I also decided it's probably coming up to about a year ago now, that I was going to really step up in terms of what I was doing when it comes to this manifestation stuff, and really more than ever put my money where my mouth is and start to really take these leaps of faith. And so in terms of manifesting abundance, what I did, which sounds silly from a purely human or physical perspective, was I cut my income and I put my outgoings up. I invested in my business and I cut the paid work that I was doing when it comes to the financial side of things. So I am midway through the movie / story, as it were, when it comes to manifesting abundance into my life. And I'm doing this on purpose. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into all the details because I want to focus on the question at hand. But the point is that what I've done means that there are real life challenges for me in terms of the financial side of things. So this was maybe 3 months ago or something like that. I was in a situation where I had a text message from my bank that said, so bearing in mind I'm focused on manifesting abundance at the moment, okay, I got a text message from my bank that said, you don't have enough money in your account to cover the payments that are coming out. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go get some money from my credit card and put it in to cover the payments that are going out. This was happening at the same time as two people in my life were messaging me, telling me about their financial wins. One of whom doesn't even really, like, I always joke with him that money is wasted on him because he's wearing the same like Primark. Nothing wrong with Primark, by the way, love a bit of Primani, but jogging pants from however many years ago that have holes in them. Sorry, I just hit the microphone again. So those of you, well, who are listening or watching, if that made a sound, sorry about that. Hashtag definitely not pro at this yet, maybe not ever. So there's this situation where I'm asking for abundance, I'm wanting to manifest it. It's definitely not here yet in the physical. On the contrary, I have this message, this real thing saying, you ain't got enough money, love. Obviously, it didn't say that. It'd be quite funny if it did, wouldn't it, from Lloyd's Bank. And there are two people in my life that are messaging me some pretty prolific financial wins. And I realized something really, really freaking awesome and so helpful in that moment. What I realized was, instead of life teasing me or taunting me, or maybe even, as sometimes is said, particularly in the spiritual world, testing me, this was what was happening. What was happening was life was getting me ready to energetically be able to sustain the abundance that is coming to me in the physical. Let me explain that. Jim Rohn said, if you get given $1 million, you better quick become a millionaire. And what he means by that is you need to adopt the millionaire mindset, because if you don't have a wealthy person mindset and someone hands you a bunch of money, you can bet the bottom dollar of those dollars that before long you're going to be down to that bottom dollar, because you won't be able to sustain it. If your mindset doesn't match the reality will be fleeting. And how sucky would it be to really want abundance, or really want a lover, or really want your ideal job, only to manifest it or achieve it or acquire it and then lose it soon after? That would really suck, right? So what life and your higher self and your soul and so on lovingly does is it creates this situation to cause you to dig deep and tune into the energetic, to the vibration of the essence of whatever it is you're desiring. This could happen, say you really want a baby and everyone around you is getting freaking pregnant and you're not, and you feel like, again, life is being mean. It's not. It's getting you ready it's helping you to tap into the essence of having a baby, of being a parent, so that when it comes, and it must if you're consistent in terms of your alignment, you are able to sustain it. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But that is a massively powerful reframe versus what the mind will tell you, which is, oh, it's not for you. It's only for others. It's obviously not meant to be for you. Okay, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Right, I'm going to go through in no particular order. These aren't all of my tips, but I'm going to share some of my tips. Basically, as I'm doing this on video as well as audio, I don't know yet how to edit video. I guess I may get there in time. I might just go back in the cupboard and give up. Who knows? But I don't want these to be too long, because there's less chance of me messing up if this is like 20, 25 minutes versus 30, 35 or 40. That's the truth of it. And if I do mess up, I just got to keep going and it'll be stuck in here for now. Okay, and all 23 people that watch it on YouTube, or 30 people that listen or as a podcast, are going to hear and see. Anyway, okay. The first thing, and I've shared this on Instagram, and again, I'm going to share this because it is just so helpful. Everything that you get taught, that I teach you, that anyone teaches you, someone, when it comes to manifestation or whatever they're teaching you about, add this disclaimer to that tip or that tool or that technique that you get taught. remember, alignment trumps everything. Okay, so only utilize or use that tool, or know that it's only going to be the best thing for you, no matter how great it is, if it aligns you. One of the things that's really helpful when it comes to manifesting money is to just dive in and kind of go all in. Like, I think this is a Tony Robbins quote: if you want to take the island, burn the boats. Like, some of you might know, and if you don't, go watch on YouTube Tony Robbins talking about the Sylvester Stallone backstory. Before he was successful with Rocky, he would not get a job. He was so skint. His ex-wife or partner left him because they I don't think they could afford to eat, and she was like, why don't you get a job? And the reason he didn't was he was like, I'm gonna lose my appetite, I'm gonna lose this hunger if I go get a job. So he was acting in accordance with that wisdom of, if you want to take the island, burn the boats, like make it so that there's no option. This is a really excellent piece of advice. However, if doing that takes you out of alignment, if it puts you out of alignment, it's not the best advice for you at that point. So please remember this at all times. Alignment trumps everything. If you can burn your boats, go for the island in alignment, extremely powerful. There's a lovely quote, which is, I think it's, nature loves certainty. And I also love this affirmation, I am undeniable. This mindset is very effective and very powerful. But again, with a disclaimer, if that takes you out of alignment, because if you start panicking, then panic isn't alignment and you're going to be working against yourself. So please remember this. Okay, the first kind of tip I want to share, again, some of you will have heard me talk about this. And by the way, there is a meditation in my members area. I can't remember which section it's in. It's probably in mindset, but I might be making that up. I think it's just literally called abundance. And in the related blog piece, I talk about this practice of basically saying thank you. I think it is a Japanese practice. I learned it via a Mind Valley interview with, I think it was Ken Honda, but I'm not 100% sure on that, where basically in Japan, what they do is every time you either spend or you get given money, you say arigato, which means thank you. Now, typically what we do is when we get given something, we say thank you, but when we give or we spend, we don't. And when you align with your soul, you're much more aligned with this. It's like breathing, you breathe in, you breathe out. We don't freak out when we breathe out, like, oh my God, I better hold on to the air because more might not come. And when you feel this tension, which is very common for us humans, when you spend or you pay a bill or you give something, then what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of alignment. If you can manage to be really thankful whenever you receive something, and also give thanks when something goes, or you pay for something, or you pay a bill, this is incredibly powerful. Those of you that are in my membership, the meditation will really help you with this and get you into that abundance mindset. And read the blog piece about saying arigato, because there's a bit more in there on that. That's a simple thing that you can start to do. It's not just about saying the words, because if you say thank you, but you don't mean it, that's not going to net you anything. It's about starting to lean into this sense of, if you put fuel in your car, you could be like, thankful for the fact that you're able to afford it, thankful for the fact that it's available, thankful for the people that have meant that fuel has got to you. Same if you're paying for your food, you could appreciate the farmers who farmed it, the individuals who stacked the shelves, again, the fact that you can afford it, and so on and so forth. That attitude of gratitude and being appreciative and thankful, most of you will know, is incredibly powerful, and you can get so good at it that there's just no space left for worry or for lack of alignment, because you're so appreciative. Now, if you're listening to or watching this kind of in real time, for many of you, you will have this awareness of the cost of living increase. And actually, I a couple of hours ago got a substantial bill for my gas and electric. So it's kind of ironic that I'm talking about this today. In fact, it's just the way that it goes, because I'm focused on this. So life has given me opportunities to practice it. That's the way that it goes. So what commonly happens, someone gets a bill or a bill that's higher than expected, or they don't watch the news anyway, and they hear that the cost of everything's going up, and you start to feel this contraction, you start to restrict, you start to worry, you start to go into fear. So instead of that, what I want you to do is to reframe. You'll have almost certainly have heard me talk about this clip on YouTube from an ex-Navy SEAL called Jocko, and basically what he's speaking to in this clip is his mindset, his attitude, his approach of every time something quote unquote bad happens, he goes straight in with good. This is so layered, it's so powerful in so many ways. Part of the reason is that it stops you getting caught up in a mind trap, going down into a quagmire of negativity that might last who knows how long. I spoke to a friend earlier, something unwanted happened and it took her out of alignment, and that messed up so many other things in her life. You don't want that happening. So the way that I look at it is, in fact, I'm going to talk about that in a moment as another point, but if you can go straight in with good, the moment anything unwanted happens, and then I'm going to share one of my most favorite, does that even make any sense? One of my favorite journaling techniques for when something unwanted or something sucky happens. You sit down and you pose the question of yourself, how could this be the best thing to have happened? This is related to that whole good response. You are not, I hasten to add, pretending or being Pollyanna and pretending that, oh, I love the cost of things going up. Oh, I love these unexpected bills. It's not that. It's an astute and a wise and a sage stance that this is, whatever is, and arguing with it is insanity, because it's not going to change it. It's only going to put you into an unhelpful headspace and mindset that is not conducive to you overcoming the challenge in front of you. So you journal on, how could this be the best thing to have happened? I can't even begin to espouse how helpful this is and how powerful that stance is to take. And also remember that fear speaks first and it speaks loudest, okay? So you hear on the news that cost of living is going up, you get a bill and it's twice what it was, whatever it might be. Your amygdala, your primitive brain, your fear response is going to be the first and the most powerful thing to kick in. And it's going to go, I'm cancelling Netflix, I'm not buying any more magazines, there's no more Costa. We're all just going to sit round in onesies and we're not having any heating on. It goes straight to these kind of images of you and your loved ones destitute, hungry, and freezing cold. This is the nature of that primitive part of the brain. It's kind of like death and destruction, worst case scenario. Now, of course, if you take action in that moment or soon after, you are reacting, you are not responding, and you are acting out of fear. Loads of you will know my favorite quote from A Course in Miracles, or one of them is, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. So when we put up these defenses of, I'm going to cancel Netflix, I'm cancelling all my subscriptions and this, that, and the other, we are cutting ourselves off from our highest self, from our soul, from our wisdom, which is the very thing we need in that moment. When we just take a beat and we observe the fear, but we don't act from it. So we wait and we respond, then we tap into the very wisdom that we need. And it's not bad or wrong to cancel your Netflix or decide you're not going to have Costa or whatever, but you don't want to do that from fear, because if you act out of fear, you perpetuate and you create more situations that are born of fear. It's all about energy. It's all about intention. Energy is everything. Now, here's another really cool reframe for you, massively helpful, something that I do a lot. So when you get an unexpected bill, or you notice that the cost of everything's going up, or whatever it might be, have this knowing, this understanding, tap into this truth, and it is a truth that if the price of things is going up, if your expenses every month are rising, then more must be being called to you. So every time you have a problem, in that moment, the solution is created in exactly the same moment. Whenever you have an unwanted situation, you are asking for the opposite of it instantaneously. This happens instantaneously. So if you're feeling like you don't have enough money or you need more money, more is created for you in vibrational form, in energetic form. So know this. It's like, cool, okay. So instead of me thinking, I'm going to panic and how am I going to make more, understand that it must be there for you. So the work is to align with that. How do we align with that? Essentially, we feel good. So it's the opposite of what most of us tend to do when we listen to that fear narrative, which is panic. Okay, please know that. It's like, this is a cool thing. The cost of stuff has gone up, so I must be due more money because life isn't mean. The universe loves you. Okay, now this is one of my favorite manifesting tips. I say this all the time. The mind's just going to go, what? That is just ridiculous. How is that going to help me? This is so powerful. Figure out the essence of whatever it is you want to manifest. So if you're wanting to manifest abundance, so I don't know if you can hear my next door neighbor's dog barking. That's just to signify that your abundance is on the way. So figure out the essence of what you want. For me, abundance is really, really times 1,000 relaxing. It's like so relaxing. Figure out what it is for you. Maybe the essence of abundance is freedom. It's probably 1 or 2 or 3 words, not really going to be more than that. Figure out the essence of it and then spend time every day finding some way, somehow to feel the feels of that. I most commonly will put on some certain music, some kind of like relaxing music, and then I will just lean into the feeling. You do this is shifting your energy. This is helping you to embody the version of you already living with the thing that you're asking for. You couple this with when the doubts come up, because you spend 5 minutes feeling the feels of your abundant self, and then you come round and the postman's there, and then you've got your gas bill, or whatever it might be. Or you look around and you see that, oh, actually, I'm feeling the feels of living in a mansion, but I'm living in a flat. Whatever it might be, you feel the feels of it. And then when your reality triggers doubts in you, you quash those doubts quick, okay? You do these 2 things together. And what this is going to do is it's going to shift you energetically. This is an immutable law. When you embody the version of you consistently, who is abundant or in a loving relationship or has a healthy body, whatever it might be, in divine timing, if you are consistent, it must be yours. It must be. I talked about this today in the email I sent out to members, how you can hang your hat on this stuff. I've worked with thousands of clients over the years, and after work, hundreds of clients in and seeing that, guess what? That person's got happier and now they're luckier, in inverted commas. I'm trying to stop doing air quotes all the time because I've got a habit of it. So I'm doing my best to not do that. We'll see how that goes. So you start to realize this can't be a coincidence that all these people I'm helping who shift their mindset and their energy, they get happier and they get happier and they get luckier and better things happen to them. You realize that there's something in this. You, unless you do the same job as me, won't have seen this to the same extent, but please borrow from my confidence, from my knowing that this stuff works. It's never, is it going to work? Yeah, it works. You just got to work it. And in its essence, to make it as simple as possible, and simplicity is our friend in terms of efficiency here, is feel good. Just feel as good. I said this to a friend earlier who was challenged with something. Feel as good as you can, as often as you can. And when you're not, don't beat up on yourself about it. Feel as good as you can, just as often as you can. And when you're not, don't beat up on yourself about it. Please remember, alignment trumps everything. So important to get. I have a tattoo on my clavicle here that says alignment to remind me of the power of it. And I'm reminding you of the power of it too. Okay, I super hope that helps. If you have anything you want me to cover, either on one of these podcast episodes or on Instagram this month in June, I'm focusing on manifestation. Next month, July, let's think about what follows June then, I'm going to focus on mindset. So any questions on either of those topics, or anything frankly, but particularly for now, those two topics, please get in touch, because your questions really help me, and obviously they help other people, because you're not going to be the only one with that question. Okay, thank you so much for listening / watching. I don't know if I'm getting slightly better at this, maybe not, we'll see, only time will tell. Please bear with me. I'll be back next week, so I will see or speak to you then. Thanks a lot, guys. Lots of love. Bye for now.